All right, we heard a little bit about Brianna and Jordan as teens. What was Brandon like as a teen?
Oh, goodness. He was easy.
Was he really?
He was one, if he did something wrong, he would come confess it. He couldn't stand it. He could not stand
The
it.
parent's dream.
Yes. Of course, Greg is just an incredible question asker and listener. And he said, Mac, what's God doing? So Mac shares. And Greg looks at Mac and says, you know what? I want you to come work for me. And Mac thought he was teasing. So Mac kept talking. And then he stopped and he said, no, I want you to come work for me. My kids are tenderhearted and compassionate. There is something inside of them that will fight you to the end when there's injustice. So you see her, she's this beautiful, kind, gentle person, but don't mess with her family and don't mess with someone who is being treated unfair. When a religious person says something, they straight lie. There's so much that's been said. But because he doesn't go on that straight line, because he doesn't meet what they think a Christian should do or be around, they speak horrible things about him. That I don't get. Mm-hmm. Life is full of pain and hurt, challenges, but God is always there, right there with us, and He knows what's on the other side. So it's in the journey of the challenge that grows us. It gives us resilience to live the life God's called us to live.
That's good for me to hear right now.
Joey, did you come up with it in real life or in your dream?
In my dream.
And then you woke up and you're like, that was a good idea.
Yes.
What is it?
I told Joey, we were at like this hole in the wall restaurant. We were either in John's Island or on James Island, which was my subconscious because I picked up something off Facebook Marketplace there the other day. So I was literally just there.
So everybody, this is Bree McLeod talking if you're not watching.
Yeah. And we went out to eat. You were there. You never said anything, but you were just there. And I think that was subconscious because we've all shared a meal before.
Yeah. And we shared one last night.
We did. And it was like, we did. And it was like this hole in the wall, really cool restaurant. And Joey's like telling us the history of the restaurant, telling us about the owner.
Sounds like Joey.
Checks
and
out.
It was like, it's so cool because this lady.
But I probably Googled it and I didn't check the sources, but go ahead.
It's like this lady, yada, 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 yada. He's telling the story. And I was like, Joey, you should do a podcast all about like these hole in the wall businesses, restaurants that are like rich in history and lore. Like you should just tell people the story. And he looked at me like that was a crazy idea.
In your dream.
You did,
right
yeah.
In your dream.
In the dream, yeah. No, in real life, he was like, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But like I told her, I have so many good ideas for podcasts that I'll never do because I don't have the time.
We should just start our own separate. You should start a third podcast.
I don't know if that would be the third.
What, a fourth? How many podcasts do you have, Joey? How many are you producing right now?
Including the one that I'm doing with Chip. And I don't do weekly releases on all of them, but 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
Yeah. But one I'm kind of backing off of because I got limitations just like everybody.
Okay.
But I think I was telling Bree that I don't think Charleston has a good enough Charleston podcast that's all things Charleston, revisits Hurricane Hugo, has interviews with people who have lived here for 70 plus years, interesting stories, people that remember the 60s.
You had me at history.
Yeah, and then current events and how the community is being affected, and like your one-stop shop for all things Charleston, where it's just like, I got to listen to the Charleston podcast. I live in Charleston.
Yeah.
Like there's some people that I think are doing different angles of that, but not the whole thing. And I actually did, because it's just type person I am. I pitched it to a couple of news stations, like, "Hey, I have an idea for a podcast. Would you guys like to partner up?" But that was a long time ago. I didn't
that's
really
so
hear
cool.
back.
That is really cool.
I was feeling.
All right. Well, when you start that, I want to be part of it.
That's what she said too. I'm not starting it. I don't. Did y'all not, did not hear? I don't have time.
Never know.
I don't have time.
Know.
It's not a no. It's a not yet.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're not watching YouTube, Kiara Lindsay is here as well, and her and I make the Adidas section, so rocking the same exact shoes. Exact shoes.
You know who'd be really proud?
Who?
My German granddad.
Oh yeah,
because it's a German brand.
Das ist toll.
Exactly.
Prima.
Look at you.
Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch.
Oh my gosh, what is happening?
Ich habe viel vergessen, aber ich habe ein
Dein Deutsch ist richtig gut.
Dankeschön. Ja, ich habe 4 Jahre gelernt und 1 Jahr in Universität. So I don't think Universität means college, but that's what I meant it as. Okay, so yeah, 4 years in high school and then 1 year in college.
What in the world? Why haven't we ever done this? Why is this my first time speaking German to Joey?
I don't know. All right, well, welcome you guys watching on YouTube. We've got a fun episode. I always think that they're fun, though, except for the super sad episodes that we do. But it's church family and church community means something to me, and so pain is a real thing. So I leave those with my cup full as well. But I was thinking about getting a mother on this podcast and someone who's never been on here. And you guys will hear from me and Cindy Lake how I arrived at Cindy Lake. But we have Mrs. Cindy Lake. That's Pastor Mac Lake's wife and the mom of Brandon Lake, Jordan Lake, and Brianna Lake. And I loved hearing her talk about her family and mentoring me some along the way, you know, because she's like a walking ball of wisdom on parenting and life, and yes, she's further down the road than I am. So I asked you guys to bring some stuff about your mothers.
I didn't read your email.
Well,
or Teams message.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry, Joey. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I think you'll be able to do this easily because you have a good relationship with your mom.
I just was texting with my mom this morning.
There you go. There you go. Sweet. So you can be thinking ahead, and then we'll hit these guys up before you. All but one thing that your mom often says, and you can go anywhere you want with these, 3 of your mom's strengths. And then 1 funny story about your mom. So I'll start with one thing that my mom says is, so she'll say something to me like, I'm going to talk to you as your mother right now. She'll talk to my kids like, okay, I'm going to talk to you like Mama Jean, almost. And she's talking about her mom who was like in everybody's business. But she's basically saying, she's putting that off on her mom. Like, I'm being like your great grandmother, she was to tell her kids. But basically what she means is, I'm going to butt in because I love you. I'm probably right about this and you're probably wrong. So I'm going to tell you my mind. But if you tell me to mind my own business, I know that I have to. That's what she means by, I'm going to talk to you like your mother, Joey. But, you know, so that's her way of saying, but you can tell me to mind my own business. So she says that a lot. And I really appreciate, I want to hear her thoughts because I value her opinion, but I also appreciate that she knows that, hey, I'm also a grown man, that I'm going to hear her out, but then maybe not agree. And, you know, I think a lot of moms, they're just like, no, do what I'm saying because I'm your mom and I love you and I know what's right for you, sort of thing. So that's one thing. What's one thing your mom says?
Well, the first thing that came to mind is the scripture that she always refers to. And like growing up as a kid, it was plastered all over, whether it was our rooms or just, she would always refer to this, but it was, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I think it formed us. It's funny now, I'm the oldest, I have 2 younger brothers, but we're all adults. Anytime we'll hear that verse, it's kind of like she was right. You know, she would bring it up, you know, when we were struggling in school or when we were fearful to try new things or, she will refer back to that a lot, and it shaped us. And now every time we see it, it's kind of funny too. All of us kids had different journeys, even like growing in our faith and figuring out life. But yeah, me and my younger brother actually live together right now, and we'll talk about that a lot, how that really shaped once we kind of went off on our own to figure out who we were within ourselves and within the Lord. But that actually made us who we are today. So it's one of our favorite verses.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, Bree, what's one thing that your mom says often?
That was a huge verse in our household as well.
Shout
for
out
like
moms.
all of my life. But the first thing I thought of when I got that question from you, Joey, is that my mom always tells her kids that she loves us and she's proud of us. Like, we don't end a conversation with her. I never leave without her saying, I love you, bye, you know?
Yeah.
So I love you and I'm proud of you.
That's sweet.
That's cool. That's super
Words
cool.
of affirmation.
Yep.
I thought of a word.
Yeah.
My mom uses the word dear when she's talking to me.
Oh, yeah.
And she'll say dear, and sometimes she'll say dear heart. And my grandmother
heart.
always said that. And it's just like, you don't hear people use that word.
yeah.
And so it just like the way she says dear is really sweet.
Like, hey, dear. And that's
Or
okay,
just like-
dear.
yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
That's
I love that. All right. The strengths that came to mind is my mom is super organized, thorough, and planned, and everybody benefits from it. I mean, she's literally, so my dad passing away this summer, she is basically trying to make it now to where anything that she can do before she dies, so my brother and I don't have to do, she's doing. Like, that's just how she does her life. I mean, I literally feel like she used to quiz me with math facts when I was a little kid. Now she's quizzing me on where those papers are, if I, where the box is, and that sort of thing. She's very intentional. So the second one is very intentional, especially with family. But I mean, her cousins, like that, they lost touch for a while. And I mean, she regularly checks in with them. Church family, folks that she feels called to. Like, there's certain people she feels God put in her life, and she's going to call them regularly. She's going to ask if they need anything. She loves her family fiercely. And, so she's very intentional with family. She took her and my dad took their grandkids every Christmas, every year. They found a way to get downtown Charleston and give out like gift baskets to homeless people, like blankets and food and that sort of thing. Very unbelievable cook for a third one, but I'm going to go ahead and cheat and give a fourth one. And this one, I really thought through because I want to honor my mom, and I really do think this honors her. I think that she is self-aware of her weaknesses and keeps this in check most of the time. So she has a fierce love that can come out in anger or irritation if she feels like someone's messing with someone she loves, or if the person she loves isn't taking good care of themselves. She can really become consumed. What I appreciate is that she realizes that, and she typically doesn't make it everybody else's problem. There's a lot of people like that, and it's just like, oh, just stay out of her way. She's making everybody's life miserable now because she's upset, and she doesn't do that. Like, she kind of deals with it on her own. And, over the years, I've seen her get better and better because she's a woman of faith and is always striving to be better. So anyway, those are three strengths of my mom. How about yours?
My mom is intentional. She is intentional with people. She also loves people really well in a way that I feel like I don't ever even come close to. She is Mama Gail to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I have shared her as a mom for many, many years. And it's just fine. My brothers and I know that she's a lot of people's mom. She loves the Lord so, so much. And that one means the most to me because she's modeled it so beautifully for me over the years. There's never been a season of my life where I have doubted that.
Yeah.
She loves him so much.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
That's my mom.
Cool. Shout outs. Oh, and my mom is Barbara, by the way, for listeners. Mama Gail, Barbara Svensson.
Gail Marie.
Yeah.
Gail Marie.
Oh, that's a sweet name. I didn't know that was her middle name.
And Rebecca Lindsay. We all know a lot of her strengths, but hearing it from
She's
her
a legend.
child. She is. She's legendary.
Legendary,
for sure.
truly. I think, the first thing that came to mind is that she is a prayer warrior.
Nah. Are you serious?
Seriously, she's in the army. She prays unlike anybody that I know, just in the sense of like, I've actually talked about this on the podcast before, but again, just walking through some seasons within our family where I felt like she could have it was the season with my brother where I'm like, all right, let's do something about this and tell him to do this or try this. And she leaned to prayer, and just years later getting to see the fruit of my brother returning to the Lord and just being on fire for his kingdom and all the things where I'm like, whoa, she chose the better portion. And so just the way, again, kind of how she walks with the Lord and knowing when to lean into the Holy Spirit and the power of the Holy Spirit, and being able to know when to surrender her own strength, knowing if she leans into a higher power, what effect it actually has, especially on us kids, but the people that she loves, the people that she surrounds herself with. So I feel like that also translates into her gift of hospitality. I truly think it's a spiritual gift, similar to what you just said, just open door policy, shared her with many people. That's the way I think she gets people in, is just getting her into her home and having people have a safe space where they get to let their walls down and be vulnerable and share life. And then I also think she's really attentive, goes hand in hand with intentionality, but sometimes I catch myself in conversations and I'll zone out and whatever, kind of get the picture of it, but she'll catch things. And I think I actually talked to her the other day about this. I think it's honestly also where she leans into her gift of prophecy, where she will catch things in conversations that almost are like spiritual revelation, to where she will then encourage people and speak life over people about things that may have gotten lost in translation and just mundane conversations. But she is really great at having conversations with people and almost listening to the Holy Spirit with one ear while listening to them, and just getting to tie those two worlds together. I think it really lifts people up, and I admire her for that. It's a role model as a woman of God myself. So those are probably one of the main things that I love about her.
That's awesome. And we're going to do a little added touch, if you're listening on YouTube, with y'all's permission. Yeah. We're going to, as each of us are talking about our moms, we're going to put a picture of
Oh, yeah. I mean, I need to ask my mom if she's okay with that.
We're like, can we plaster her all over?
Were you wanting to say something real quick?
Yeah, I was thinking about your mom as you were talking about her, and both of our moms are on staff here at Seacoast. And so my mom, months and months ago, had asked your mom to be praying for something really important in our family. And your mom came alongside of her, and they just prayed this in agreement together. Yeah. And it was a prayer that the Lord answered just recently in the last couple months. Yeah. And I got to watch, the last time my mom was in town, I got to watch her find Rebecca Lindsay and tell her. And she's like, are you coming? And I was like, no, this is your moment. This is yours and Rebecca's moment. And so she got to go to Rebecca and tell her, and I'm watching from afar, so I just see mouths moving, and your mom, just her reaction, and then they got weepy together, and then they prayed together, and it was the most beautiful thing.
That is so sweet.
That's awesome.
That was really special.
I love that.
That's cool. What's your mom's first name?
Jackie.
Jackie, that's right.
Jacqueline. Jackie, Miss Jackie. My mom is so welcoming. She, whenever there are new people, she just sees people, and she always makes people feel welcome. And I even think about growing up, we had neighbors, and one of them, who is a little bit older than my brother, ended up having a child earlier in life. And my mom, I would even when I was in college, I would call my mom, and I'd be like, where are you? And she's like, oh, I just grabbed her and we came up to Carowinds for the day. Because she would just see, she would just see people, and she's like, oh, she needs to have a fun experience. Yeah. And she's just like that with anybody that, somebody brings a girlfriend or a boyfriend, to a family gathering, or somebody, an outsider is there. She just always sees them and brings them in. So she is really good at welcoming.
That's cool.
She is one of the most generous people I know. I look back and I'm even the way we grew up, and how little we had, I can as adults, I can understand now what my parents made. and how my mom would just like sacrifice. Like I look back and I think of experiences that me and my brother had, and I'm like, how did my mom make that work?
Yeah.
That she would like not just sacrificing for needs, but like sacrificing for like unnecessary things. But even watching her like always wanting to help or serve someone, like if they don't have a car. I remember being young and there was a large time in my childhood where my mom didn't have a car and she would catch the bus everywhere. But I remember when she had a car, like this is a distinct memory, we're like coming from the grocery store and it starts raining and she sees this woman walking on the side of the road with grocery bags and she like complete stranger. She just stops and like gives her a ride to where she's going. And I mean, she's just always like that, like serving people, going out of her way to just serve anything that anybody needs. And she is a really good cook.
Yeah.
Like she is. Most things that people make, I'm like, I can't eat your thing. It's not my mom's.
It's not even worth it.
And so,
it's not worth the calories if you've had my mom's version of that.
Yeah. So, which also brings that like homey feel of like she's always taking food to people. And so,
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
Awesome. Awesome. Shout outs to Jacqueline, Miss Jacqueline. All right. Y'all are going to think, so we're closing this mom talk with a funny story. Y'all are going to think I'm horrible for saying this as a funny story, but I look back on it now and it's just like all the emotions and stuff, you just have to laugh at it. So it was probably 3 years ago, right after Christmas. My mom and dad came down with COVID, and y'all know me as an Enneagram 9. This is showing out for me. We were in the emergency room because my mom's blood pressure was so low, and so I was in line for her. They asked me, "Well, can you get her Social Security?" So I go, and I was like, "Mom, your Social Security." She couldn't even talk to me. She was like almost out, and so I went to the front. And I said, my mom needs help right now. She can't even talk to me. I don't know if she's dying, but we need to cut all of this. Y'all need to get her back there. And they looked at her and they're like, okay, yeah, you're right. So they took her back there and saved her life, with her super low blood pressure, but she had to stay there for a while. And so I'm taking care of my dad for a week. Well, as my mom had been getting sick, she manages his medication because he's kind of foggy and he also had chronic pain and was on a pain medicine regimen. Without her guidance, he messed up his medication. And so he was off. I really needed to take care of him. There were some funny moments of that. But when my mom came home after that week, I ended up, so this is the same house I grew up in. They bought it in 1971. So I am caretaking with my parents, the same house they caretook me. And I remember like checking my dad's vitals. He's in bed. And there was one night where I was laying on the couch and I see my mom go back in the hall with a walker because that's how sick she was. I mean, she's a very healthy woman. And all the emotions clicked and I just started sobbing because I was like, they used to put me to bed. This is the house where they took care of me. And it was just a huge revelation of we're on the end of things here. We're not in the middle. When it comes to me having my parents, we're way down the road. And I think that realization and the sentimental aspect of me being in that house, I just lost it. And I lost my dad this summer. So I think my suspicion or intuition was spot on.
Yeah.
So I look back at that and it just seems like a Hallmark movie. It's like, oh, I'm watching my mom go back there with her, walker. But anyway.
It's a special perspective, though.
Yeah.
That the Lord will give you. It's special.
For sure. All right. Who's next?
I think, again, there's so we grew up, we moved around a lot as kids. So there's different, like when I think about my mom's strengths, there's different moments where I feel like I imagine her wearing a Superwoman cape, and I'm like, she is incredible. But one of them I think was special. We spent about 3 months in Uganda when I was, I think it was 12 or 13 years old. It was our first time living out of the country. They both come from missionary families, so that marked me and my brother's childhood, but we had never lived out of the country. We had never visited Africa. We've only known. So I remember one of the nights me and my brothers went to school that was about 2 hours away from where we lived, which was also just a huge separation anxiety in the sense of we're in a whole new country, a language that we didn't speak. We didn't speak English at the time. We only have each other. We don't even have adult parents that could represent us or help us. And I remember coming home that day. If you've ever been to any African country, but especially in Uganda, we were in a main city. Traffic is crazy. So there's not if something happens, you're probably going to be stuck in traffic for hours. So we got out of school at 3. There's a 2-hour drive home. But that night, instead of getting home at 5 p.m., we got home at 8 p.m. Mm-hmm. There was some accident probably, and we were stuck forever. And we didn't have a phone or nothing. So Mom, all she could rely on was us getting home around 5 p.m. So her not knowing where we were at, I remember me and my brothers were having the time of our lives just on the bus with other kids. We were sharing snacks. I remember that was the language we understood. You have that to eat. I have this. Do you want to trade? And we would sing songs or whatever. But I remember turning the corner to where the apartment was that we were at. Coming down a hill, there was goats and sheep and cats and dogs all over. But my mom was standing in the middle of the street, just waiting for us. And she started waving once she saw the bus, and I could tell she was crying. And I remember we got off the bus, and we were obviously, safe, having fun. But I remember seeing her so worried and seeing us
that affects you as a kid
come home. It kind of hit me even as I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest of the 3, and then girl with 2 brothers, kind of I'm the mom representative for the kids when we're out. And I remember just that was kind of seared in my brain of it was a hard time for us too as kids, just adapting to the culture. We kind of hated school, hated not finding friends, but it was just a representation of how much she loved us and how much she cared to pursue us, and waiting in the street and not knowing. She then later on explained, why she felt that way. And it was helpful for us as kids to see that we weren't alone in feeling we're lost in this country and don't know. So that was a memory that I have. And then even the rest of the night, I remember she would cook for us and help us with our homework. And it was just this wow, my mom is unlike any other. She's unreal. Cool. She's a superwoman. That's cool. And then now being an adult, I don't have kids myself, but being an adult and just gaining better perspective of what that sacrifice meant. Mm-hmm. I'm whoa, that is just unreal. So it's one of my favorite memories.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. What an imprint on your mind to have that visual of how much your mom loves you in her fear and relief.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. How about you two?
Is it a favorite memory? I think I'm
favorite
missing
or
the
funny?
Okay.
I think I did miss the question too.
Okay.
You or me?
Favorite?
Yeah.
I'll go. So my mom, I love reading, and I think I get that from my mom. She always had a book, but when we were younger, and like I said, a lot of times she didn't have a car, but we had a library that was relatively close, and I just have memories of us walking to the library, and we would take grocery bags so we could fill up with our books for the week, and then we would stop at this grocery store that was close because they had apple fritters, so we'd go to the bakery and get an apple fritter and come back. And so I just remember getting I love reading, and I just remember my mom always having a book. And just we would every week we would always go to the library, we would get books, and then we would get a sweet treat. So
that's
one of my favorites.
I like that.
Quality time.
I love that so much. One of my favorites is actually from this last summer. So my mom, she, for better or for worse, puts everybody else above herself, everybody's needs, she is last in line. Her kids, her family, her husband, everybody else comes first. But this past summer, an opportunity happened here at Seacoast for her to go on a mission trip to Togo, West Africa. And my entire life, it has been her dream to go to Africa. And she didn't care where, she didn't care how, but like as long as I can remember Africa, she just wanted to go there someday. And so this opportunity presented itself. And I said, well, if you're going, I'm not letting you go without me. So we're doing this together. So last summer we went to Togo together. It was her first time on a mission trip. She finally got to go to Africa, and just to I had been a couple summers before. And so to see this dream fulfilled and to be able to just stand back and just watch and take it all in was the most special thing. And to see her use her gifts there, to be able to introduce her to people I had already met there and loved. It was it will be one of my favorite memories for all time. And I felt like the proud mom, the whole time, because she was she got to teach and she got to pour into, the women missionaries there. And I just got to stand back and look at my girl and just be really proud of her. And it was
so cool.
So special. She just came alive there in all the ways. And, I just will never forget that.
That's cool.
So good.
Cool.
Man, bunch of good mom stories. Well, shout out to all the mothers. We hope that your day was awesome a couple days ago, or depending on when you're listening to this. But we just wanted to tribute to our mothers, but we extend that to all of you.
Yeah.
And here is Mrs. Cindy Lake, another mother that we get to learn from. Thank y'all. We're here with Miss Cindy Lake. And hello, patrons who are watching live, and thank you so much. If you want to be a patron of this podcast, every single dime supports our ministries in local prisons, bringing hope to people who hope runs pretty short in those situations. And I'm telling you, I've seen firsthand the hope that we're bringing into these prisons. So thank you for being a part of that. And if you're watching on YouTube, you see this woman here sitting with me, and listeners, we're here with Miss Cindy Lake. I wanted to ask you, where are you from originally?
Here.
Okay. So the
Yes.
Mrs. stuff doesn't bother you, doesn't annoy you? Because I'm a Southern boy and I just can't help it. I just can't help it. It would be so, and I know a lot of people are not like this, but it would just be uncomfortable to call you Cindy because I see you as my superior, not a peer.
Yeah, but you can't call me Cindy.
Okay.
You can't call me Cindy. But yes, all about the Southern ways. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. And yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking, just for our listeners' sake, I was thinking let's bring a mother on for a Mother's Day episode. And so I basically just scrolled back into guests that we've had recently. And then I was like, Brandon's episode dropped on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. So why not bring his mom in? And then your church family around here. So
Yes.
it just worked out perfectly.
Yes. So glad to be here.
Yeah. I think when I first started having kids, I remember a moment when it registered to me I was thinking, I love these kids so much. And I remember literally asking my mom and dad, I said, wait a second, this is how much you love me? Like there's a realization because you just don't know until you have your own kids. And so my question for you before we go through your story and everything, you're a grandma.
Yes.
So I haven't walked in your shoes. What does that feel like?
Oh, my goodness. It is the absolute greatest joy. I was called to be a mama. 4 years old, earliest memory. I was pushing a baby stroller with a baby doll in it. 4 years old, my first memory. And that desire to be a mama just grew and grew. And
That's
having my children was the greatest joy. But then having these grandchildren, it is a double portion of blessing. You kind of relive having your children again. Ours are all grown. And so watching our grandchildren, loving on them, you have the time to even invest in them that I didn't necessarily have with my kids because it was busy. And so it's like you get a redo. Our oldest is Blaze, and he was talking the other day with the other cousins, And I literally thought, that is Brandon. It took me back to when Brandon was 12 years old. I could hear him. They sounded just alike. And it was just a precious memory. But yeah, these grandchildren.
And I bet part of it too is you're holding this grandchild and you're like, this is my son or this is my daughter's kid.
Yes.
Like that just sounds unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah. Thinking of my kids being a mom or a dad.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's go back in time. And part of the purpose of this episode is just to get a snapshot of the legacy of faith that you and Pastor Matt came from. And, fast forward to grandkids. But tell me a little bit about your upbringing, spiritual formation. Were your parents both Christians? Just let's go back in time a little bit. Where in Charleston were you from?
Well, actually in North Charleston. Hand is where we grew up.
Gotcha.
Matter of fact, my daddy still lives in the same house.
Does he really?
Yes, that we all were raised in.
Wow.
So my mom became a Christian when we were all little girls, and my brother was not even born yet. And she went all in. Loved the Lord with all her heart. And my father was a church attender.
Yeah.
We would go to church on Sundays because that was the right thing to do. But he did not have a personal relationship with the Lord. It wasn't until years and years and years later that he gave his heart over to the Lord. So I was raised by an incredibly loving, tender, compassionate mama that was absolutely faithful to the Lord. She taught us all about Jesus.
And how old were you when she had a transformation again? Ish?
Oh, I was a little girl, so
you don't recall a difference, like
no.
Okay,
no.
Gotcha. That's just the mom you grew up with.
Yes,
Yeah.
She was such a phenomenal mama. I probably wouldn't have seen the difference because she was all about love.
Mm-hmm.
So she lived faithfully every day. I learned so much from her because my dad was an alcoholic, and we never knew what kind of daddy was going to come home that night, whether he was going to be angry or he was going to be silly. My mom lived through the inconsistency and just the heart of dealing and all that comes with an alcoholic spouse. She also was chronically ill. And most of my mom's life that I remember, she was either in her chair in the den or in bed. But she taught me that it is all about Jesus. And every day she spent time in His Word. She loved my daddy by just sacrificially loving him to Jesus.
Wow.
I learned so much from her, and unfortunately lost her 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it's still kind of fresh, but it's very interesting.
Tell us her name.
Lynne.
Lynne?
Lynne, yeah.
Lynne Bullwinkle,
Lynne
right?
Bullwinkle, yes. And if anyone had ever met her, stranger, she did not walk away from them without bringing up Jesus.
Oh.
She was incredible.
Yeah.
But what people don't know is that she lived every day with an alcoholic and being in chronic pain. They never could find out what was wrong with her. She went to so many different doctors, but she never gave up hope. Something unusual happened when my mom passed away 2 years ago. It was like all the anointing and favor poured out on my dad. And he has become bolder, more excited about his faith and sharing Jesus. We did see a transformation probably 20 years ago when he did give his life to the Lord, stopped drinking alcohol immediately. That in itself was a miracle.
So he accepts Christ and then has the power over alcohol.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Gave up
and that doesn't
alcohol.
always happen for people that accept Christ. That's a really special favor.
It surely was. And never touched it since. But he ended up becoming a pastor, preaching, going around, actually more of an evangelist, really, because he would pop into these different churches. But Mama couldn't go with him because she was sick at home. Anyway, we saw transformation in our family like never before.
Wow. All right. Well,
Yeah.
you and Pastor Matt got married what year?
Oh, well, let's just say 40 years ago.
40 years ago. And
95, 96, 86. I don't remember.
Gotcha.
I'd have to, math is not my sweet spot.
40 years ago.
40 years ago.
There you
yeah.
go. So tell us a little bit about his upbringing.
Okay. Oh, he was raised in a strong Christian home.
Yeah.
Both his mom and daddy were completely faithful to the Lord, lived for Jesus every day. They lived in a very small town in West Virginia, and his mom and dad basically ran the church. They had pastors come and go, but they were the steadfast. He was the head elder and greeted everybody. She played the piano. Incredible parents. His dad passed away years ago, and his mom is still living, but she's had Alzheimer's for 10 plus years.
Gotcha.
But he grew up in a very strong Christian home, and both Mac and I gave our life to the Lord at a very young age.
Yeah.
And so, we had the privilege of having godly mentors in our life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think I probably, do you remember when he came on staff? It probably right around 05, 06, 07, and he was, I don't know, in his late 30s, early 40s, no idea. But was he in ministry straight out of high school, straight out of college? Like, was ministry always his?
Yeah, so he went to Moody Bible Institute and then moved to Charleston, and we met at church in singles ministry, which, funny story, my mom called me one day when I was at college, and she said, I saw this young man on the softball field at church. And I said, I want him for my Cindy. At the same time, Mac had gone into this school I graduated from. He was friends with the principal.
Yeah.
And he said, Wayne, I just cannot find anybody to date. And he said, well, you've got a girl that goes to your church, and pulled out the annual and showed him my picture.
Oh my gosh.
So
it was an arranged marriage.
It was an arranged marriage, but I was at school and he was very impatient. And so he started dating the pastor's daughter. But when I came home from college, we went to singles group and we saw each other for the first time. And 5 months later, we were married.
Golly.
Yeah,
Wow.
It was fast. My very best friend, to this day, 40 years later, it's been the absolute blessing of a relationship. He's everything to me,
cool.
And me to him.
Yeah. And how did y'all end up at Seacoast?
Okay, so that's right. That was the story. So right after we got married, he served actually at the church there where we attended. And then it was time for him to get a better education. So we moved to Dallas. He went to Dallas Theological Seminary. And then from there, he took associate pastor in Pawleys Island Baptist Church. From there, we planted a church in Carolina Forest, which was about 45 miles north. And were there for 7 years. But there became a struggle. Mac started really just desiring leadership development, and that was starting to become a great passion of his. And it was hard for him to juggle preparing a sermon every Sunday. You know, our kids were little, having a healthy family, and then this incredible leadership passion. So one day he said, I've got to seek some wisdom. God might be doing something. And he met with 7 different men. The last man was Greg Surratt.
Wow.
And so they
I did not know this.
Yes, they sat down for lunch. And of course, Greg is just an incredible question asker and listener. And he said, Mac, what's God doing? So Mac shares. And Greg looks at Mac and says, you know what? I want you to come work for me. And Mac thought he was teasing. So Mac kept talking.
He
and
thought
then
he
he
was
stopped and
teasing.
he said, "No, I want you to come work for me." And Mac said, "Well, what would I do? What would you want me to do?" And he said, "What would you want to do?"
Wow.
And so Mac had already written up leadership development and all what that looked like. And so he laid it before Greg and he said, "Let's make it happen." And what is really special
cool.
is Greg walked in Mac's office one day and he threw a book down on the desk and said, I think it was the Leadership Pipeline. It was a secular book about leadership. And he said, "Read this and come up with something." And that was the beginning of, where we are today. Mac's ministry has just grown in leadership development. So we were here for, maybe 8 years. And then the Lord called us to Atlanta to begin a church planting network. And so we went to Atlanta for a while. Then Brandon, Jordan, and Bree moved back to Charleston, and the grandkids started coming. And so Mac looked at me one day and said, "You have followed me all over this country. It is time for you to live your calling as a grandmama now in this season of life. I'm going to quit my position. Let's go back to Charleston, which is home, and I'm going to start a company." He always wanted to actually start a company, but it's time. And I was like, yes, let's do it.
That's
so
awesome.
that brought us back
That's
to
cool.
Charleston. So at that time, Jeff was on staff, Surratt, and it was all about multi-site. And so God was just blessing that.
All right, so Brandon, Jordan, and it's Brianna or Brianna?
Brianna.
Brianna. Tell us a little bit about all three of them. How many years apart are they?
Okay, Brandon and Jordan, 3 years apart.
Okay.
And then Jordan and Bree are 20 months apart. Brandon,
What was your life like when Brandon was born? How long were y'all married around?
we were married 5 years.
5 years.
Yes. And we had a hard time having children.
Okay.
A lot of people know my story that we went through 6 miscarriages.
Dang, 6?
Yes, 2 before Brandon, 4 after Brandon. That's where the song Miracle Child he wrote, because it is a miracle that all 3 of our kids are born. The doctors wanted to start after the 6th one. They said, you need to start testing. We need to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
We were a 1-income family. Mac was associate pastor, and we did not have the finances. And so it was at that time we just said, we only have the Lord. He has got to work a miracle. And like I said, from 4 years old, I wanted to be a mom. And so it was a journey of about 5 years to get them all. A journey of standing on the truth of God's word, literally believing in his character that gave us the strength to continue to pursue and try to have a family. Yes, but everyone is a miracle. We never figured out what happened, why it was such a struggle. Yeah. But when Brandon was born, the child never left my sight for 2 years. He never had a babysitter. He stayed on my hip. I say he stayed on my hip until he could walk. People don't believe me. He started walking the month before he turned 8 months.
Whoa.
He was 7 months.
Oh my God.
And he had the biggest scars on his knees because he would fall constantly. But
wow.
You look at him now, the child was born to run, to look in the future and run towards it. It is so his personality. Brandon literally gravitated towards people. He always played with kids that were older than him and just a people person. Brandon loved people. People energized him from the very beginning. Our middle son, Jordan, the most tender-hearted, compassionate. He always goes for the underdog. Just an incredible young man, very artistic. Just
How does that manifest itself? Like drawing?
he loves to draw,
Okay.
paint,
Yeah.
draw. There were years he was a spray painter. What do you call it? Graffiti art.
Graffiti artist,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I'm sure there's places that people have seen his work, but thank goodness he grew out of it. And so now he stays focused on frames, within the frames. But that child is a lover of people, and funny. He's so stinking funny. And he's in air conditioning business. He loves to be outside and working with his hands.
Gotcha.
So incredible son. He was actually named after the Jordan River.
Oh, nice.
Because it was strictly, again, another miracle.
Yeah.
And then, so
And you said 4 miscarriages before him.
Yes, 2 before Brandon, and then we had 4.
That's a lot of heartbreak.
Yeah,
That is
a lot of heartbreak. A lot of heartbreak. But you know what? God taught me the skills of life, which was turning everything over to Him, trusting Him through His Word, His character, and surrounding my everything, my people, my worship, everything on Him. And that carried me through, I just turned 60. I gave my life to the Lord at a very young age. So it's carried me this whole journey of life. Hopefully I still have a lot left to live, to be resilient, to never give up. Life is full of pain and hurt, challenges, but God is always there, right there with us, and He knows what's on the other side. So it's in the journey of the challenge that grows us. It gives us resilience to live the life God's called us to live.
That's good for me to hear right now. I appreciate
But let me
that.
tell you about my Brie.
Yeah.
So,
How many years removed from Jordan?
Okay, so Jordan was 6 months old, and I remember rocking him. He was an angel baby. That child never cried, I just laid him in the crib and he'd go to sleep. And I was rocking him, and I said, Lord, you've given me these 2 miracle boys, but I'm going to ask you for one more. I want a little girl. And I want her to have curly hair. Which she said, why'd you pray that? And so I got pregnant within a couple months, and I was able to keep her. And I had her. And
She have curly hair, I'm assuming?
she has curly hair, but she pulls it out every day. She does not appreciate it. You always want what you don't have. But that child is the most precious, loving, tender-hearted. All my kids are tender-hearted and compassionate. But the funny thing about her is, well, actually, really, for all 3 of them, there is something inside of them that will fight you to the end when there's injustice. So you see her, she's this beautiful, kind, gentle person, but don't mess with her family, and don't mess with someone who is being treated unfair.
For Enneagram people, I'm hearing an 8 there.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. And how many grandkids do you have total?
We have 6.
6, okay.
Which is very interesting because we lost 6. And I was studying through Hannah's story one day in 1 Samuel. My story very much was her story. She was desperate to have a child. And I realized one day Hannah had 4 boys, Samuel being the first. And Scripture says that God had closed her womb up until she had Samuel. And then after that, she went on to have 3 more boys and 2 girls. So she had 6 boys total, the same as us, and grandkids. 4 boys, 2 girls. I thought, oh, that's just so sweet.
Yeah. Quick theological question. Do you feel like there'll be 6 kids in heaven that you haven't met?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Isn't that a neat thought?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And
yeah.
they'll probably, I've heard so many different theories as far as what the age will be. One that rings true for me is maybe the age that Jesus was when he rose from the dead. I mean, so these could be like adult children that are just like, Mom.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. That's awesome.
Don't know the answer to that. Like I said, no theology questions. But yeah, that is, I do know there will be 6 children up there waiting, not just for me, but for Mac. And for Brandon, Jordan, and Bree to say, you are my sibling.
Gonna get me choked up here.
Yeah.
All right. So get into some mother stuff. 2 things you're very proud of and how you mothered. And then we're going to get to a couple of things that you wish you could have done differently.
Great question.
Because we all have regrets as parents. That's my assumption for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. 2 things that I'm most proud of. I would say I literally lived my life from an authentic relationship with the Lord. I've been a pastor's wife, most all my kids, as they were growing up. What they saw me at home was what I was at church, what I was at the grocery store.
That's a big deal.
I literally lived every day and from an authentic love relationship with the Lord. I can honestly say that. And the other thing, it's kind of funny, you wouldn't expect, but my children saw me put my husband first. My relationship with the Lord came absolutely first, but my relationship with Mac came second. And Mac and I worked very hard to thrive in our marriage and to put each other first. And because of that, both my kids, 2 out of the 3 had a deep desire to get married at a young age. I was 19 when I met Mac, and I had just turned 20. Like I said, we were married within 5 months. So I was a little girl. I was still basically a child.
Yeah.
We teased that Mac raised me. But we really raised each other. Yeah. We grew up together. But yeah, I think I kept order. The Lord, my marriage, then my children. Now, I love my kids like crazy. And there were seasons where they needed more attention, but it was just a season. Mac and I have always put our marriage in a place of continual growth and loving each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that would be.
That's big. Yeah. An example for them to model their marriages after, for sure.
Yeah.
What are some things that you think back and you're like, I wish I would have done such and such a little different? You can just do one if you want.
You
sound like 2. A pretty darn good mom.
No, I've got 2 and more. But we don't have time for all that. Where I really messed up was I was really good in the childhood stage because it was basically, Brandon, you need to pick that up, or let's be kind. Jordan, you don't need to say that. Talk to your sister that way. That's unkind, whatever. Direct. What happens is when they moved into the adolescence years, I was parenting them as a child. And so I would continue to be very direct, and especially in the later adolescent years where they were becoming young adults, before they were adults, I did more of treating them like a child. And I did not take the advantage of asking questions, listening, and saying, you know what? You're old enough to make your own decision. And then talk it through. If it was a failed decision, talk that through. If it was a great decision, talk that through. So, funny story, when Bree and Jordan were in their teenage years, we started having some conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And Mac and I were just like, we don't know what to do. They literally came to us, sat us down, and said, Mom and Dad, we love you, but we don't want to live like you do. We want to make our own decisions. And we were like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to drink a beer? No, I don't want to drink a beer. You want to smoke a cigarette? Finally, we went through all these lists of things. Finally, Bree said, yeah, I want to smoke a cigarette. So Mac went to the 7-Eleven, bought a pack of cigarettes, and came and sat with her on the porch, and she smoked that cigarette down to the very end of the butt. It was all said and done. Mac said, well, what do you feel like? Does that feel good? Do you like that? But, anyway, they debriefed it. But this is the hard part. We kept having a lot of conflict. And so Max said, I think it's time we go see a counselor. So we went to see this counselor, and he first met with Bree and Jordan, asked them tons of questions. They just had a great conversation. Mac and I were sitting out in the foyer. And then they came out, and he said, Mac and Cindy, y'all come on back. And so he asked us a bunch of questions. And Mac literally at the very beginning said, I just want to let you know, I have never been in this seat. I'm always in your seat.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel very uncomfortable, which was a great thing. Great thing. The gentleman went on to say, you've got 2 incredible teenagers. The problem is not them. It's with you 2. And we were like, what?
You say that in front of your kids?
No, the kids were out in the foyer.
All right.
And he began to explain, you got to let go. You got to give anyway, which is so funny because Mac was the leadership guru. But yet, when it came to our children, that's an area that we both failed in. Learned a lot. Okay, was that the first one or second one?
Yeah, and I've heard about, it's kind of a good visual for me, but it's like early. Tell me if this resonates. Given what you just shared, early on in parenting, you're basically 100% control. I mean, it's a newborn; they can't do anything on their own. There's really no. I mean, there is some influence going on, but basically, you're taking care of all the needs. As they grow older, it's less control, but the goal is to have more influence so that by the time they're 18, you don't really have any control, but hopefully you have tons of influence. And it's like as they grow older, you're thinking, okay, I got to let go of control, but that influence. And it reminds me of what you said as far as asking questions and having discussions about things. Like that's probably where a lot of the influence.
You are right on target.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, that is it. And we just didn't see it with our own, which the other failure kind of rolls into that is I did not teach because I was a servant.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of my wiring, my gifting. I loved keeping a good house clean. I made their beds every day.
Yeah.
I did their laundry. I made all 3 meals a day.
Lucky kids.
Did everything because I flourished at being a homemaker. I loved it. Well, the problem with that is Brandon got married. He met Brittany when he was 19. He got married when he was 20. Maybe 21. I can't quite remember. And I had to go to Brittany years later and say, Brittany, I am so sorry. I missed teaching my children responsibility. I did it all for them. I wish I could go back and teach them how to go to the doctor on their own, how to wash their own clothes. That was a huge mistake that I made because once they got out on their own, they had to figure it out. And, it caused some ruffling. And so, I did not allow them. It's funny, you learn from your mistakes. One of the big principles is you, if you always raise the bar for your children, you can do this. You are smart enough. You are wise enough. You are capable. You've got the ability to do this. And you actually put that bar way up high. They're going to eventually rise up. Well, I never even put a bar in front of them.
I'm sure there's a part of them that were like, that wasn't too bad.
But it hurt them in the long run.
I understand.
You know?
Yep. Well, you've already done a lot of this, but are there any recommendations you'd want to make to parents? Some just guidance, admonitions as far as parents that are in the throes right now of parenting kids, maybe in earlier stages. It feels like very stressful because I've been there for sure.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the later stages of parenting, but man, those early stages, it felt insane.
It's exhausting because you're tired. You're working at a job all day long, and you come home and your first job is there, which is to pour into your family, but you're tired. Gosh, I'm just going to hit a couple things really fast. Yeah. First of all, you got to take care of yourself. You've got to pour into body, soul, spirit, mind. You've got to find ways to eat healthy, exercise, spend time with the Lord so that everything you're doing is from an overflow of spending time with the Lord. So put all that together because you don't have a whole lot of time. So as you go for a walk, go for a run, lift some weights, listen to the Bible on the app or whatever, Seacoast podcast, whatever that will feed you spiritually. So double up. I would think that's so important. I wish I had been taught that early on. The other thing I would say is it's all about relationship. So from day one, you're cultivating a love relationship with your children individually. And so as they move through seasons of life, you go deeper, you know them better. That is foundational truth in that it's a relationship where they feel safe, they feel love and grace, even when they mess up, because they're going to mess up. And we mess up.
Right.
And model, gosh, Brandon, I am so sorry I did that. That was not right for Mama to do that. I am so sorry. Will you forgive me? But so that when they are adults, all three of our children are adults and they're parents themselves. Well, Jordan's not, but they're adults. It has laid a relationship, a foundational relationship that we just kept building on, so that they're our peers now. They're our peers. And just the other day, Jordan called Mac and he said, "Dad, I just need you to listen to me for a second. I'm trying to work through something." Literally a 15-minute phone conversation. Jordan pours out his heart. Mac just keeps asking questions. And then Mac, at the end, was able to say, "Jordan, I think what you're saying, you're going the right direction." And he was just cheerleader. Mm-hmm. When they're parents now, we've cultivated a relationship that was based on love and grace. And so now we can be their biggest cheerleader and biggest supporter.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that so many people in your kids' shoes don't have that because the relationships are so strained. And that'd be the last person they'd call is that. That's super sad. But I meet a lot of adults like my age who they don't have that with their parents. That's huge. All right, we heard a little bit about Brianna and Jordan as teens. What was Brandon like as a teen?
Oh, goodness. He was easy.
Was he really?
He was so easy. The young man, child as a teenager. See, I'm still wanting him to be a child.
He's always your child.
He will always be my child. He will always be my baby. Oh, but he was one, if he did something wrong, he would come confess it. He couldn't stand it. He could not stand
The
it.
parent's dream.
Yes. Now, we learned with the other ones, they would hold out. We'd have to find out. But with Brandon, he would come and tattle on himself beforehand. I only remember one time where we had a situation. And this is funny because this has to do with Seacoast. Okay, so he was probably 16, 17, maybe 17. Anyway, he was all of a sudden just being disrespectful to me, just talking disrespectful, which was totally not his character. And he had come to lead worship. He came early to practice for the well. Which a long time ago. I think it was the singles ministry, or maybe it was high school.
Yeah, young adults.
Okay, young adults. So he had come early that afternoon to practice. Well, when Mac got home from church that day, I said, Mac, Brandon said da-da-da to me. Oh, it hurt my feelings. Mac didn't say a word. He grabbed his car keys. He got in the car. He drove up here to Seacoast. He walked in the back door of the well, saw Brandon upstage leading her rehearsal, and he walked up to him and he whispered in his ear, don't you ever talk to my wife like that again. And turned around and walked off and came home. Brandon could not get home fast enough to come to me and say, Mama, I am so sorry. He just needed a little correction.
Yeah.
And he took it, and never again did that child ever say something unkind to me. That is the only incident that I can really remember.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
That's a good story. Wow. Did you have an inkling of what was to come for Brandon? Like, was there anything inside of you that just thought, there's just something I can't shake? I think there's some big time ministry in store for him. Like,
No.
No. Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't know that he could really sing that well. Well, I know he couldn't at the beginning. I didn't know. I did sense God had called him to ministry in some way because he had such a heart for the Lord, and he literally walked it. And so it was so unusual from all his, other guys and girls his age. So I did think, okay, I think God's calling him to ministry, but I had no idea what and when what that would look like. But as he began to lead worship, I did see, okay, wow, he's good. He just can't sing well. There is an anointing on him. There's a difference between worship, a spirit of worship, and then just being a great vocalist. I saw a worship spirit on him. I think when he was leading back then on Wednesday nights, we would get together on first Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's more loose, more lively on Wednesday. And I began to see, okay, wow, there's something that is bigger than him on him.
So not in your wildest imaginations did you think that he'd end up where he's at right now.
No.
As a mother who I think it's innate in all of us. We're either learning how to overcome worry, or we're struggling with worry. We're getting better at not worrying. We're taking some steps back. Regardless, I think we're all toying with it in some way, shape, or form with our kids. With the sort of fame and exposure that Brandon has, if there's anything that you would struggle with worry about, what would it be? And concerning Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely. But I know that the moment my emotions start to creep up and take position, I know immediately, okay, Cindy, I've got to take this to the Lord. Because perfect love casts out all fear.
Mm-hmm.
There was great fear as doors opened, going into circles that unfamiliar territory. My prayer consistently has been that God's anointing over him would continue to flow because of him righteously seeking God first. And then Brittany and the children, his family second. And then his calling in ministry. So keeping just God's favor of protection, that he keeps that first. And fame, oh my goodness, it can tear you up, can destroy you.
Yeah.
But I believe the power of prayer. And it's not just a mama that's praying, it's a daddy, and there are hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people that are praying over him every day. Brandon is very wise. He's learned a lot from his daddy, and he puts himself in the right, those in his inner circle are healthy spiritual giants. Some have lived what he's living, they're way further down the road. Some are just counselors. Gosh, not just counselors. They are counselors, He's got a wonderful group of the team that he travels with. He literally handpicked the men that were like-minded, like-hearted. I will never be more grateful for Andy, for Micah, for David. There's two David. I will never be, they are everything. But this world is scary. And it really has affected our family. There are crazy people out there. We have already had to deal with craziness. Women that think they're having a relationship with Brandon.
Yeah, I've heard of some of those.
Yeah, calling here at Seacoast. One was going to move from Podunk to whatever because she thought she was supposed to move here to live with Brandon. Anyway, there are so many scammers out there that are using Brandon's name that are really grabbing the heart of these innocent people, and they are believing it. There's so literally, there was a big article that came out that I died, and
multiple times.
Yes.
My mom actually told me the other day. She's like, "Well, Brandon's mom died again."
Yes, but we had people calling my family and saying, I am so sorry. And so that part of it has been very hard, unexpected. So as a family, we've had to navigate through all that. And what we've done as a family, we've made very strong boundaries, and we've learned to have a sense of humor.
That's so good.
Just some of them, we'll text each other. Well, Brittany, you're gone now, and just have a sense of humor. But yet we've had to have some really healthy boundaries to keep us. I think
It's got to feel invasive, It's
Yes.
just like, this is our life.
I had a man show up at my door. He was 80-something years old. Thank goodness that he was that age, because he literally told me, this was just a couple weeks ago, I tracked you down. Yeah, he wanted me to give something to Brandon. And if it had been a young person, I would have called 911. But because he was an older gentleman, I'm like, okay, I can take you. I can take you down. But that's been hard. But I'll tell you what's been the hardest part of this whole God's favor, because that's what it is. It's God's anointing and favor over Brandon, is the religious. People assume what they don't know. And it drives me crazy.
You and me both.
When a religious person says something, they straight lie. They think Brandon is There's so much that's been said, but because he doesn't go on that straight line, because he doesn't meet what they think a Christian should do or be around, they speak horrible things about him. That I don't get, because we should be encouraging and loving everyone.
Yeah, I told Brandon, I said, even if you made a mistake and said something that you shouldn't have said, did something that you shouldn't have done, is that the church's response, is to throw rocks at you and destroy you, when you obviously have a heart that wants to do what's right? Like, we're going to make mistakes, and yet people are picking at him, and he didn't even make a mistake.
Yeah.
It's like, they fit in with the Pharisees. They really do. They really do.
Exactly, Joey, exactly. And so as a family, we've literally had to go, Brandon right now is studying in Matthew. We've had to go back to the basics, the Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and look at how they treated Jesus, because the religious treated Jesus horrible. And we're experiencing that. And so as a mama, man, it's hard. It's really hard.
Be honest, have you ever responded to something online as
Yes.
his mom? You have?
Yes.
Multiple times, or did you learn your lesson?
I have multiple times.
I love it.
Brandon asked me years ago, he said, Mama, will you please never respond? He said, because I can't handle the responsibility. That's too hard for me to see you get upset. And he said, I can handle it. But it really upsets me to see you and Brittany or Brianna or Jordan get pulled into that. He said, that I can't handle. So will you please not respond? And I said, yes. But Joey, it's when it hits me unexpectedly, and I'll see a post about him, and I think, oh gosh, that is so good. So I'll click on the comments, and then I'll see something. And I have responded and gone down a rabbit hole, and then Mac will say, why? Why did you do that? Why did you go there? Why did you let them steal 1 ounce of your joy? They don't know Brandon. Anyway, so he helps me get back. So I will say 90% of the time, I never read a comment anymore. And the 10% is because I just accidentally, I'll see something and not think it through and click on it. And then I'm like, oh man, I fell for it. I fell for the bait.
This has been awesome. I really appreciate a lot of the wisdom that you've unpacked, a lot of the legacy talk of where you came from, some interesting stuff about Brandon and his siblings. Loved it all. Why don't you close us out with just one random funny story about Brandon that nobody knows?
Oh, goodness. Okay. He's probably told this before. Okay. So there was a time he was in high school. I was on I was on a retreat. I was not home one night. Mac somebody knocks on the door at probably 12 o'clock at night. He opens the door and there's a policeman standing there. And he said, "Are you Mr. Lake?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "You have a son, Brandon Lake?" And he said, "Yes." And he said,
Whoa, that had to be scary right there.
Oh, yeah. Thank goodness I wasn't home.
Yeah.
Because I would have been screaming, squalling on the floor before I knew what in the world he was going to say. He said, "Well, I have your son in my car." And he said, "No big deal, really." He said, "But he was trespassing. And so we are bringing him home and we're putting him in your care." And so, thank you so much. Well, what had happened was Brandon and another gentleman, another Brandon from Seacoast, that they were buddies, and my son-in-law, because Bree ended up marrying Brandon's best friend all growing up. So the three of them, oh goodness, that neighborhood, it's off of 17. Anyway, they jumped the fence and they went swimming in the pool late at night, and they got caught.
Gotcha. If that was the worst thing he did as a teen, you were in good shape.
Yeah. Well, he did do some other things, but like I said, he would confess it
Yeah.
before we even found out. So, the punishment wasn't that bad because he confessed it. But so that one was a funny story that he literally got brought home in a police car. Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard this or not, but Jack Hoy, the father, who who that is. So he says that he recalls, so his daughter had a huge crush on Brandon back in the youth group days. And he said that they were all in the same crowd. And so there was a time when Brandon was sitting there, and you know how smart Jack is, and he's got books all over the place. And so Brandon's like, "Wow, that's a lot of books there." And Jack said, "Oh yeah, it is a lot of books." He's just like, "What kind of books do you like to read?" And Brandon, in front of Jack's daughter, Brandon says, "I don't think I've read a book in my whole entire life." And now Jack imitates is hilarious, but he said that very moment his daughter lost interest.
She lost interest? Well, that he took from me because I prided myself getting all the way through school without ever reading a book.
Dang.
Isn't that horrible?
That's awesome.
That is horrible.
I never read Great Expectations. I had to read it 8th grade and 10th grade, and both times I think I read the Cliff Notes. It's just such a boring book.
I somehow got out of. I was a terrible student though, but you know what? What he lacked in reading books, he studied people.
Mm-hmm.
He studied people, and he always put himself in a position where he could learn from people, and that was a skill that literally led him, I believe.
It's a different kind of intelligence.
Yes,
that's just as important.
Yeah. Now, I think he has read a book since then.
Oh, gosh. I'm sure he's read many now. That was when he was a teen.
I don't know how many. We probably could count them on 2 hands. But he continues to be a learner of people, godly people. And so that I'm proud of him for. But, he wasn't studious.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss Cindy.
Oh,
this
thank
has been
you
awesome.
so much, Joey. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to share about my family.
Yeah, you're a natural.
Oh.
You've been listening to Seacoast Church's Things You Won't Hear on Sunday podcast. We are now on Instagram. Go to instagram.com/SeacoastPod for your one-stop shop to interact with this podcast and chime into the conversation. You can also be a patron of the podcast and receive exclusive content and live feeds of our recordings. All of your support goes towards Seacoast ministry efforts and local presence. All of this information is in the show notes. Thanks so much for listening.